Good morning. Good morning. Listen, a couple things. So, in the wake of, you know, Kobe Bryant and his daughter, and the various others who were riding on the helicopter, death has been a very trending topic so far in 2020. Well, yesterday I lost my 18-year-old cousin, and yeah, I didn't know her like I do a lot of other like as far as there's some cousins that obviously you deal with constantly or more of, so you spend more time with. She was a lot younger when I was living in California, but I did know of her very well in terms of just being around her. Anyway, 18 years old, passed away in the living room, more or less. Anyway, with that in mind, and obviously with the feelings and the feels that would come away from an event like that, I need to address this topic. I need to talk about uh, crisis. In former videos, I mentioned it in terms of tragedy, pain. Took a lot of notes this morning. This video is for me. This video is for me. It's for those of you who are in a time and a place of uncertainty, pain, stress, possibly eustress, you know, unplanned events that are taking control of your feelings, your attention, your focus. You're in place of discomfort. Well, those times plan themselves. I'll even go a step further and argue that pain and tragedy does not discriminate. They come for everybody in due time. Everybody gets theirs. But it's your turn. It's our turn. One of the biggest things that I have to address in my subconscious and as of late in my conscious mind is the reality of my family members and their death, my own death, our mortality as humans. Realizing that everything around us is temporary. Things we take for granted. I called my mom last night. First time in a couple months. That's a lie. First time since before my deployment in 2018 that I've heard my mother's voice. No, actually it was an 11-minute conversation. The goal was 5 minutes. I'll call her today again. The goal is 5 minutes. The goal is to simply do the action of speaking. Anyway, got a lot of notes, but yeah, seasons of crisis. Seasons of crisis are coming. Whether or not you plan change, it happens. It's guaranteed. I would argue, and obviously, we have very short memories in terms of things that we overcome, things we get over, things we go through. We have a very short memory, and we tend to forget, about those moments where we thought that was the highest amount of stress we could handle. This is the greatest amount of pain that I can endure. And we forget about those moments where we overcame those things. I don't think I've experienced personally anything more painful, more stressful, and again, this is relative, this is subjective to me, the basic training. Has nothing to do with the tasks, has nothing to do with, what I had to do to graduate. Had everything to do with the environment and my personality and the mental stressors that I had to address. those addictions that I didn't know I had until I had to go cold turkey on 99% of my life. You enter basic training, you lose 99% of your vices. Luckily, I still had sugar thanks to Crave cereal. Thankfully, I still had coffee with whatever amount of caffeine it had in it. But, that 99%, I had to address those things. A lot of people smoke cigarettes. They had to address those things immediately. So, yeah, we have very short memory in terms of, the things I overcame and the things that I once thought were the pinnacle of pain, the pinnacle of stress. And we overcame those things. And now we're here, and now we look at our circumstances and we're like, there's no way, I got home last night and I was so tired. I was so tired. I'm like, she's 18. Kobe was 41. Gianna was 13. The pilots, the other passengers, tops 45, tops 50. Not even halfway through life. So yeah, a lot of questions. That's what is good about tragedy, is that it will present a lot of questions that you will now go in search of answers for. A couple things. And once again, this video is not meant to be a preaching, motivational, esoteric. I'm not here for that. This is mainly, and I'll be honest with you, this is for me to hear my words out loud, to hear my thoughts out loud, the proper thoughts, the right thoughts, to say them out loud. So now I'm even more so conscious of them, and so I can live it out. So I addressed this earlier. You are not special. Pain and tragedy don't discriminate. Perfect example. I was in LA recently, December 22nd through the 3rd of January of 2020. I was in LA. And the first day I was there, the first full day, obviously I was at the beach, vibing. Had my camera out there, I was shooting some seagulls, just, practicing on my new lens. Had my headphones on, just vibing out. And there was a homeless guy out there. And in the moment, it had crossed my mind, bro, you alone, bro. I don't know where the thought came from, just, you lonely son of a gun. You ain't got no girlfriend, bro. And then I walked past the homeless guy and I said good morning. And he responded with so much energy. It was startling. Too much energy for someone who's homeless. He's like, it's a beautiful day, man. It was cold. For LA, it was cold. It was like 50 degrees. I was like, this is unacceptable. I came from DC. I came out here for 70-degree weather. This guy out here talking about it's a beautiful day. He had too much energy. He was being positive and, the whole nine. It was too much. It was too much for me. But I asked myself, why? Why is he happy? Why is he greeting me with so much energy? I have a career. I have, making roughly $50K a year. I have a nice apartment. I have a nice car. I have a smartphone. I have multiple cameras. I have, a Mac, a 4K monitor, 4K TV. I have Wi-Fi. I have food in my fridge. I have the money to come out and take vacations in LA and get a nice Airbnb and, drive to Vegas. And one could argue that I'm unhappy. I don't wake up smiling. I wake up, with plans and goals just because I know I have to. It's necessity. While he's homeless, walking to a cold beach, I'm like, why is that? Why? I don't have an answer for you. I'm just bringing up the fact that, pain and tragedy hits everybody's door. And you'll have some people that have less than you who can still find the ability to smile and find the ability to show gratitude and to still greet someone with positivity and good energy. The human will is amazing. Trust me on that one. The human will is amazing. And you see it, in certain glances, you see it in certain moments where Vanessa, Bryant can still post something positive, even though she's in probably the worst pain she's ever experienced. You know, you have these people that lose everything. Tsunami hits and they lose everything. They'll lose a family member. They'll lose a child, a husband, a wife, and they can still show a positive face, at least in a moment. That's amazing. That's testament to the human will. So let's start off with a little hope, because we all need a little bit. Nothing's permanent. Nothing's permanent. Change happens whether you plan it or not. It's guaranteed. Change happens whether you plan it or not. I constantly preach, create the change you want to see. Create it. Create the change. Plan your mornings, plan your evenings. Create. That's the difference between your mind and the dog's mind, is that you can create. Dogs typically destroy stuff. You know, if you see a watch in the middle of a forest, you know a human mind made this. If you have an iPhone in your hand, you know this did not happen because a factory full of parts blew up by chance and all of a sudden they integrated together and they work properly and now you have wireless charging. No, you know that came from the human's mind ability to create something from nothing. Integrated complexity does not happen by chance. Complexity is simply, speaking to how many parts something is comprised of. The probability that it takes, for something to come together and work properly. But for it to be integrated complexity, to work properly, to go from nothing to complexity, but then it actually works as well at the end result, that comes from the human mind. That's amazing. It's beautiful. Quick story. So I got an email yesterday from SparkXCell on Andrews Air Force Base. It's basically a incubator of sorts. It's a small little space where their only purpose there is innovation, change, invention, innovation basically. They're there to create better and new and more inventive ways of doing things. Well, I got a letter of rejection from them. They interviewed 4 people. I was one of them. I was one of 4 people in Andrews to get interviewed for one of 2 positions. I got neither one. And obviously, immediately when I read the email, my energy rose to a level that I am accustomed to when I experience rejection. You're not good enough. My energy just like, bruh, you really, bruh? They can't compete with you, bruh. That's immediately like I was on 10. And then, after I simmered down for a little bit, never fully, losing that energy, but just trying to harness it properly, because that's all anger is energy requiring appropriate focus. So as I sat there, I was like, you know what? How did I get that interview, first of all? And it was something I was wondering leading up to the interview too. I was just alerted randomly, like 2 E7s ran up on me, like, bro, you got an interview over at SparkCell, you got to go over there at 4. I'm like, how did I get this interview? And, during the interview, it was brought up how my commander was speaking, just to, who I am. And, she was speaking very highly of me. And she recommended me for the position. And once again, it took me back to my deployment. And all this has to do with change, as far as it can happen with or without you. And I asked the question, how does these positions exist and I don't even know about them? Again, the unknown variables that happen to us, there's positive and negative sides to it. I didn't know that's a full-time position. Meaning if I would have got chosen, they would have took me from finance. They would have took me from finance and placed me over there full-time for a year. especially in a space that my mind thrives in: change, creation, addressing problems, finding solutions. And so even though I wasn't chosen, it still occurred to me, what else exists in the military that I don't know about, that I don't know exists yet? What haven't I tapped into yet? It gave me hope. It gave me hope knowing that I don't know everything. I'm one conversation away. I'm one question away. I'm one opportunity away. Change is going to happen with or without you. And so, although I'm doing my best to create it, every single morning, and I had an amazing thought this morning that I'm about to start working on today. Like it's a dope thought. I'll start the research for it today. But yeah, creating change. Change is not always negative. A lesson we can learn from Mike Tyson losing his first fight. It may have been his first. You must learn to outlast your pain. That's what I'm currently doing. I call it survival mode. It's where your excellence is still on 10, but you ration out the rest of your energy in terms of, these are the few things that I need to be successful at. That feeds everything else. My job, I cannot let that go because that disqualifies me from better. I can't let my job just drop through the floor because I'm tired, because I'm exhausted. I have to try. But before that comes my personal goals. Hence why I get up at 2:30. I have to accomplish me first. My whiteboard needs to be accomplished before I leave this to go to work. I need to be in the gym, editing, reading. There are a few things that must come, and they must be accomplished within your 24 hours without fail. Without fail. Realize that you only have a certain amount of energy. People discovered that Mike Tyson tries to knock you out in the first or second round because his endurance is not probably where it should be. I'm sure it's still above, the mass population, the rest of the 99%. But, I guess in his mind, I just want to get this over as quick as possible because maybe he hates cardio. I can understand that. So if I can just get this fight over as soon as possible, first round knockout, just hurry up, knock him out. It's over. But people realize that if I can just outlast him, if I can just outlast his punches, his barrage of knockout left hooks and right hooks and jabs and uppercuts and what have you, if I can just outlast these things, I'll beat him. That story, when I first heard it, I can't remember when I first heard it, it has always stayed with me. Basic training, you only have to outlast it. You do have to accomplish certain tasks, but those things are easy. Relatively, of course. You're practicing obedience. They're telling you what to do. They teach you what to do. They teach you how to do it. But now you just have to outlast the time. That was my only goal, was to outlast. PT, running every single morning basic training, or I believe it was every other day. 30 minutes a day of nonstop running. You have to outlast it. It's not a sprint. It's not a race. Those who sprint the first 2 minutes, they're going to struggle the next 28. I realized that my MTI will constantly come for me. I'm like, bro, what you doing? Like, you barely running, bro. I'm like, it's not a race. It's a marathon. Like, I'm just trying to finish it without stopping. Obviously, I didn't respond with all that. I'm like, all right, I got you. You take L's. Sometimes you have to just eliminate the fluff from your life and realize these couple things matter. This is where I'm going to put my energy at. The rest of it can go. My children, I can't let them go. My relationship, I can't let that go. My job, I can't let that go. My fitness, can't let that go. But, the going out every Friday, I'll let it go. Let it go. Outlast the pain. Outlast the foolishness. You feel me? We talked about change. This is a big one. Don't cut corners while in the pain. It backfires later, and sometimes worse than the previous pain that you were experiencing. Again, I'm sitting there. This morning I did a 10 by 10 workout for chest, bench press. 10 reps, 10 sets. And I'm just sitting there writing down all these different notes. Just my best thoughts, my mind's sharpest in the morning. I would argue your mind is sharpest during, times of crisis, times of pain is where your mind is most creative. Is like when you're broke, you have the most creative ideas, the most creative gifts, because you can't afford to just go splurge. Anyway, in tangent. Don't cut corners while in the pain. It will backfire. Don't cut corners. You'll just have to redo it. Don't quit. Something I had to learn. Don't quit. You don't learn anything, and it backfires in the form of regret. Regret is a sign that you cut a corner. Regret is a sign that you did not value, the pain in your life, the problem that you were, encountering. Regret is a sign that you're going to have to redo something, or, you've reached a point where you can't redo something. The latter being probably the most painful. Getting to an age where you can't, go back and do something or try or attempt something. It's something I'm constantly dealing with. The battle between the pain if I fail, or the pain if I get rejected, or the pain of this doesn't work out, or the pain of regret. Well, I would argue the pain of regret is going to be a lot worse. And so although I'm still kind of slow to move toward the action, I never place it in a place where, I'm not going to do this. Because regret, I'm telling you, is far worse. It's for a lifetime. Don't cut corners. If there's a price that you must pay for something, if you try to cut corners, you're going to have to redo it. Or you're going to achieve what you want and it's not going to last. You're going to lose it because you didn't pay the full price. Hence why there's certain things I don't get the cheap version of. Cheese is one of them. Shoes, cars, car parts, electronics. I study before I make a purchase. Because regret is a sign that you saw something that was on sale and, you went to wish.com and you saw, ooh, I can get an iPad Pro for $20. Don't cut corners. It's going to come back and get you. And that doesn't just apply to purchases. That applies to your decision making. When it comes to a major junction in your life, do not cut corners. I've tried it before. If you make decisions based off money, that is cutting a corner. Because you did not fully study. You saw the price tag. You said, ooh, this pays more. I'll take it. Don't make a decision based off beauty. That fades. Off vanity. Off things that can't be defended for the next 20 years. You chose her because she's beautiful and she's dancing all around and, she has your mind and tangle webs and whatnot. All right. What else you got? He has a good job, nice car, muscles, hairline still intact somewhat. That fades. It fades, and then now you're going to face regret. Because now you're going to run into, I didn't know you beat people. Interesting. Never make permanent decisions based on temporary circumstances. I.e., tattoos. I constantly harp on y'all. Y'all kill me with these tattoos, people. Why do people get tattoos? Let's just touch on it. Why do people get tattoos? Most often, I would argue, Now, I'll preface this by saying this. The only tattoo I would get is probably a family member's name on my body. That's it. That is it. And it will only be in the case of their death, God forbid. The only reason I would get a tattoo is if one of my family members that was my sister, brother, sister, mom, brother, father, son, daughter, God forbid any of those people pass. But yeah, that's it. That's it. Because anything else would probably be based on motivation or spontaneity or curiosity or feelings or happiness or joy or, passion, which all those things change. They change. So I'm not against the concept or like the ideology behind a tattoo or like the impulse, but I would rather buy a poster or a whiteboard. Anyway, don't make permanent decisions based off how you feel in a moment. A lot of you right now in the recruitment process, how many DMs I have from people that says, I'm still trying to get this tattoo removed. I have like 10 more sessions. When you got that tattoo, you probably weren't thinking about the Air Force. Now, again, I'm using tattoo as an analogy. This is not about tattoos. This is about decision making. You made a decision based off how you felt in a moment. You were in that pain. You were in the crisis. You were crying out for help, and you made a decision based off how you felt in a moment. Times of crisis, times of pain are the worst times to try to change directions in life. That is a moment that you need to sit and feel. And then you get back up and say, all right, it's time to make some moves based off my decisions, based off my goals and wisdom. It's the worst time. Last week, dealing with, the news of Kobe, one of my greatest role models, since I was a child. Never met him, but as a child, I looked up to this man. He's like, this dude reminds me of my own father, who's in my life, by the way. They kind of resemble each other. Like when my dad was overseas in Korea, I had to look to somebody. It's just what we do as human beings. We look to somebody to follow. Hence why we have these people that we follow on Instagram, because we're looking for somebody for inspiration, for direction. The human mind, has the ability to lead, but we first start off following. That's the first thing we learn. Follow our mom around, crawling around, following our father around, following the dog. Never make a permanent decision based on temporary circumstances. Don't let your feelings determine what you do. That's reckless. Your feelings change constantly. Right now, I don't feel hungry, but in a couple hours, I will. So if I made a decision to go on a permanent fast just because I'm not hungry right now, that's reckless. That's irresponsible. One of my favorite ones I wrote down. Just like nervousness and excitement, crisis and opportunity have the same symptoms. Think about that. Let it breathe. Just like nervousness and excitement, crisis, times of crisis and opportunity have the same exact symptoms. When you're excited, when you're nervous, you're experiencing the same exact variables, symptoms, feelings. You're jittery, butterflies in your stomach, sweating, can't sit still. We just have different titles for them. One's negative, one's positive. Opportunity and crisis, you have the Warren Buffetts of the world who profit, who make money during the Great Depression and during times of recession. Everybody else is losing money, but there's this handful of people, the 1%, who are still making money. Yeah, there's a whole conversation about diversifying and investing in index funds and mutual funds and what have you. But it's a mindset. It's a mindset to think that when everyone else is suffering, when you're not supposed to be successful, this is the time that I'm choosing to be successful. This is where I choose to focus on something else. Instead of focusing on the pain, I'm going to focus on what can I do to benefit from this. This is what I'm doing right now in finance. You may think it's very small of me to think that finance is tragedy, it's crisis, it's pain. But the same thing I do with losing a cousin, losing a family member, losing somebody that I care about. I had to switch my focus. My focus last night was not in a good place. Trust me on that. That's all I'm going to say about that. I came home, got in the bed, went to sleep. I came home, got in the bed, and I went to sleep. I didn't make any big purchases. I didn't go to anybody's house. I didn't let nobody come over. I came home, got in the bed, and went to sleep. I feel better. I woke up, made some big decisions. So learn to see the opportunity. Ray Dalio, he does not lose money. They don't lose money. This is not about money. It's about they don't take L's when they make decisions. You know, when it comes to seeing the ability to benefit from a certain circumstance. You won't change unless you have to. You will not change unless you have to. This is speaking to, the value of eustress, benefiting from a variable, weights. Your muscle will not grow unless it's torn. And then it regrows back stronger, bigger. You cannot succeed without a problem. Any entrepreneur, anybody who's made money, is because they solve a problem. You go to work to solve a problem. Someone pays you to solve a problem. You get paid relative to the problem you solve. Your value is relative to the problem that you are solving. Someone flipping burgers is not going to get paid the same as somebody who flies a jet. They're solving two different problems. One can be solved by a robot. One is a robot that requires a human mind. One determines life versus death. One determines comfort versus, convenience and hunger. And you get the point. You will not change unless you have to. This is speaking to going in search of a problem to solve, not running from the stress. I run from inefficiency. I try to solve it. I recommend solutions. And then I go about my business. I did my job. A lot of you are in a place of comfort. A lot of you are comfortable, which is, again, that's fine. If you're happy, that's cool. But if you're complaining, go in search of a problem to solve. Shout out Gary Vee. Crisis does not create answers, but rather questions. When people die, we automatically address the value of life. It automatically happens. We don't consciously do it. It just happens. Why did this happen? Now you have questions. How did this happen? They're so young. Why? Why them? Why not someone else? We automatically have questions when we encounter, injustice. Why is injustice a thing? Why do we think that's bad? Why is murder wrong? Why is mass murder wrong? We have all these questions automatically when we encounter times of tragedy because we're pointing to, subconsciously, we may not be doing it consciously, but we're pointing to a greater good. What is that greater good? Who is that greater good? It's good question. Crisis will force you to lean on people and not stuff. Crisis will force you to lean on people and not stuff. It will force you to ask for help. Crisis will point to the value of humanity. The value of a hug far outweighs the value of having my phone in my hand. Trust me on that. I get so much more value from a single hug It doesn't even make sense. Just the embrace, because that's the first thing you felt as a child when you weren't even conscious yet. You felt the embrace of your mother, and that stayed with you until adulthood. But now we lean on Instagram for comfort. We live on likes. Personally, sugar, dopamine. We're trying to manipulate chemicals in our brain when it requires something that's going to hurt us to activate that. I've been addressing it as of late. Sometimes just going to a friend's house and sitting on the couch. You ain't gotta have nothing deep to say. You ain't gotta have no big old party. Just go to a friend's house, sit on the couch, and just vibe. Just sit. Watch TV. Watch the same show you watch by yourself. Just watch it with someone else and talk about it. You'll be amazed how therapeutic it is. I watched the Super Bowl with my boy from my deployment. I did that consciously, knowing that this is gonna help me feel better because I feel alone. I feel sad. I just want to go sit in somebody else's house and sit with somebody, sit with some friends. One of my favorite quotes: dark times will reveal the unnecessary, both people and things. This is speaking to essentialism. You must ask the questions: what matters most, what matters more, and what matters now, and apply that to people, apply that to things. There are certain times in my life that my mother matters most. There will come a time in my life where I meet someone and my mother will not matter more. She will matter at a certain time. She will be prioritized based on who else is in my life, the stage of my life, the moment in my life. Dark times will reveal that half the stuff that you keep buying and the things that we call it retail therapy and whatnot, we're going to realize that at a certain moment, these things are not helping me during my times of crisis. What am I turning to? The point is to realize these things before the crisis hits. Be proactive with it. Dark times will reveal the unnecessary, both things and people. And then the last three things I wrote down are pragmatic in nature. They're practical. They are things to do during times of crisis. First thing, well, it's four things. First thing will be to sit and feel, to simply immerse yourself in what you feel and ask questions of it. I feel sad. Well, feel it. Cry. Sob. Again, one of the first things I said in this video is for me. It's for me. I'm talking to myself. Feel the pain. Ask questions of the pain. Why do I feel like this? How did this happen? Was this avoidable? Is this my fault? It's not. Nobody calls this. Where's the hope? Where does my hope lie? What is logical, reaction to this? How should I respond? Ask questions of it, not make big movements, not swing in the dark. Sit and feel. Find someone to help. Go in search of someone else that needs help. You immediately feel and notice the results of giving. It will far outweigh what you did for that person. $20 to a homeless person, the smile that comes on their face, the reaction, the excitement, the response will far outweigh, you spending that at McDonald's. Trust me, I know. Find someone to help. Go and search for somebody who needs help. Go and search for somebody who's displaying body language of pain, of sadness. Ask them how they're doing and wait for that answer. Wait for them to respond. I hate that when my leadership walk past me and, how are you? And they didn't even flinch. They didn't even look back to see if I responded. Half the time I don't respond. Because I know they're not listening. They're reacting to my presence by muscle memory. Hey, how's it going? Keep going. Utilize momentum to create good feelings. Utilize momentum. This is one of the number one things I do in my daily life. When I experience momentum, high feelings, I don't I don't show it. I don't express it. It's something I'm working on. But you will never know when I'm excited and on 10 and full of energy, because I will turn that into thinking. How do I maintain this? Coffee is a great way, I pair coffee with excitement because they just go together. But anyway, you will never notice me being, crazy excited. I will immediately start thinking, how do I maintain this? How do I harness this? How do I make this last longer than a day? Now, I can hear the question, how do I get the momentum started? Because obviously, in terms of physics, momentum is something that's already moving. It's measuring that. So how do I get started? Obviously, the law of inertia, not to go too far into physics, but the law of inertia would state that if you're at rest, you want to remain at rest. If you're in motion, you want to remain in motion. So the question is, if I'm in a place of being stationary and I'm tired and I'm exhausted and my thoughts are in the dump, how do I get started with, getting to that place of momentum so I can keep that going somehow in my life? Order. Start with order. It's the number one step I give to anybody joining the military. The first step to changing environments, to entering transition, is place your life in order. Address all chaos in your life. If your laundry's not done, go do it, complete it, fold it, hang it up, iron it if you need to, dry cleaning. Go clean your bathroom with Lysol and bleach and actually scrub the tiles. Bring order. Clean behind the toilet. Make your bed. Buy a new bed if you need to. Buy new pillows. Clean your sheets, your linens. Buy silk. I have silk on my bed. It's amazing. It's amazing. Clean your baseboards. Clean the dust everything. Bring order to your environment. Bring order to your body. Go work out. Go, take a yoga class, spin class. Cook a healthy meal. Bring order to your life. Any progress towards order will create pleasure. You know this subconsciously because you do it. You lose 2 pounds and you're excited. You make progress in a certain area. I got an A on one single test. We're on 10. Any progress towards order will create pleasure. Identify all chaos in your life. Write it down if you need to and start addressing each one. Address your credit. I got to pay it. I owe money. And lastly, listen to the Gary Keller interview with Tim Ferriss. He's the founder of Keller & Williams, the real estate company. Amazing interview. Gary Keller spoke to asking the single question before you enter a new environment, before you embark on a certain task. Ask this question first. It's so simple, but it took me there. What is the one thing I can do that will make everything else unnecessary or easier? What is the one thing I can do that will make everything else unnecessary or easier? The analogy he used in the interview was whenever he comes home, the first thing he does is goes and finds his wife and kisses her. That's the first thing he does. Because he knows, based on his own relationship, based on their own dynamic, that if I greet her with a kiss, I tell her I love her, the rest of our night's going to be smooth. Whatever she was dealing with that day, she's going to forget about it because I just greeted her with the proper respect and the honor that she is in my life. The first thing you do is ask a question, what can I do first that's going to make everything unnecessary or easier? This is speaking to moving with purpose, moving very intentionally, operating with wisdom, not being reckless, not trying to swing in the dark, trying to stab in the dark, but you're playing intentional game. What was his name? Israel Adesanya, the MMA fighter. He always speaks to how he's not a power puncher, but he's very intentional. He's a Mayweather. He places punches. That's the video. Be encouraged. Tough times. We out here. We are here. Get through it. Outlast it. Rewatch this video a couple of times. Dr. Miles Monroe, huge influence right now in my life. I just realized he died. I didn't even know he was dead when I was watching his videos. It's crazy. It's crazy. But be encouraged. Have a good day. Say what's good to your boy.